Hello everyone. Welcome to this year's Pechacucha Slam. My name is Art Pierce. I am the Policy Planning and Projects Director at the Portland Bureau of Transportation and a longtime member of the Revolution community. I went to my first Revolution when I was an intern at the Bureau in 1998. So it's been a long ride and been super excited to be a participant in all these different conferences. Really want to thank Revolution for being such a strong sponsor and supporter of innovative ideas such as the Pechacucha Slam and other ideas coming from the new Revolutionaries. This first idea came really out of a conversation with Dan, the CEO, coming up with new ideas to how to liven up the evening for the event. And the first event, I ran off a laptop and my iPhone. So we have really come a long way in what was once a sort of side conversation, sideshow to being such a big event at the conference. So super excited to be here yet again. Of course, under different circumstances, not quite the same room of energy that we normally will convene for the conference. So, a little reminder about this event. So we use the Pechacucha slideshow theme. So that's 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide. So each presentation will be 6 minutes and 40 seconds long. So very quick, very lively. And I think of this year, we're going to also bring some halftime show. So we want to make sure that you stay connected to the show in between the presentations, because we're going to do a game show style event, which should be quite fun, and we need your participation to make it work. This is also an evening event, and so this year, we have themed cocktails every year. I think this year it's appropriate to think of it as a Corona-themed event. Had to do it. So hopefully you are also all running to your respective fridges to grab a cocktail and be ready to enjoy this show. But maybe before we get too far into this, I think we're going to, I guess maybe before I start there, we're going to start a word from our sponsor, HNTV.
Each morning, we wake up eager to build a brighter future for the places where we live and work. That's why we are here. We are here to benefit places that for us are more than just mere dots on a map. They're the very communities that we ourselves call home. HNTB has been here for more than a century and will continue leaving permanent impacts across the country. We are here doing much more than solving transportation challenges. We are here to make all lives better. Over the generations, we have become the industry leader at bringing people together through innovation, collaboration, and inclusion to improve the quality of life for our friends, for our neighbors, and our families. We have been a part of your community in the past. We are here now, and we will continue to be here with you as we work together to build our community, our home.
Hey! Welcome to the Battle of the Bus. We're going to talk about why the bus is so important, how to make it better. We'll start by looking at how people think about the bus now. Then we'll talk about all the ways that the bus and transit is so critical. And then we'll talk about what can make our transit systems better tomorrow, how pursuing these changes can build advocacy energy, and how those upgrades don't even cost that much. It's just a matter of political will. The bus, we know, has an image problem. Too many people think of it as a social service. How do we improve this perception? We need to make the buses perform comparably to private automobiles. It's pretty radical relative to our current reality. It means we need big changes to how we think about transportation. Buses don't just need to be better, they need to be better relative to cars. We have a long, long way to go. Here in Minnesota, we analyzed the time savings that would result from improvements to 2 core bus lines. Upgrading those lines would save riders 1 million hours a year. And the people whose time is being wasted, they are people of color, they're young people, lower income people, many of whom, not surprisingly, have been deemed essential workers. Yet we're not helping them. We need to make the case for changing this, perception and the reality. We need to make the case for people riding transit now, and we need to make the case for why other people should ride transit. We can do this. Why improve our buses? Well, it's important for so many reasons. How should we improve them? It's easy. Let's start with the why. Affordable housing. Huge challenge across the United States. Transit can reduce the need for cars. Fewer cars, fewer parking spaces. In Minneapolis, we approved about $145 million worth of parking spaces for development. That adds a lot to the price of housing. And if we can rely on good transit and can put more than $7,000 into people's pockets each year through savings on car ownership. Climate change, I mean, this is an enormous issue of our time. Existential transportation is the highest emitting sector, and cars and light trucks make up the majority of those emissions. EVs aren't going to get us emissions reductions fast enough. We need to cut how much we drive, but we still need to get around and access our communities. Transit is what we need to secure a stable future in the incredibly small timeline that we have. Health, we know that living near busy roads and highways, driving in a car and crossing the street all carry risks. To put on my pharmaceutical ad man hat, risks associated with car commuting include premature death, heart attack, dementia, decreased lung function, poor cognition, loss of happiness, obesity, collisions. And of course, all these negative impacts exacerbate existing inequalities. We saw who's reliant on Twin Cities transit system earlier. So many inequities fall along racial lines. This map lays it out perfectly, showing high concentrations of people of color near our Twin Cities highways. Our reliance on car is what drives so many of these inequities, and our buses and transit systems can remedy them. Right, and when you think about all this and more, it's like reviewing these benefits is like reviewing a presidential candidate's issue section on their website, right? It covers everything. I mean, jobs, education, disparities, child welfare, families, natural resource conservation, democracy. I don't know if anyone's thinking about democracy. Well, okay, let's move on. We know how to make changes to our bus systems. They can reap all the benefits we just reviewed. There are truly great systems in the world, from Bogota's bus rapid transit system to London's reliable and fast bus system to the recently rolled out lines like 14th Street's select bus service in New York City. It just comes down to prioritizing the bus. That means a fast bus, a frequent bus, a comprehensive system of buses so you don't just go back and forth linearly. That's not how we live our lives. Reliable, comes when it says it's going to come, and welcoming and dignified. Right? Transit should be prioritized so it's designed for and actually used by a full cross-section of our communities. Now, how do we do it? One way is to review the bus stop spacing. I finally get to use these things. If I'm a bus and I have to stop at every stop and then speed back up again, awkward corner, it's going to be really slow. But if we reduce the bus stop frequency, but still retain reasonable walk sheds, don't have to stop. We can serve about the same number of people, but travel quite a bit faster. Another way to speed things up is to give signal priority. Again, if I'm stopping and waiting all the time, the bus travels pretty slowly. But if I get signal priority, then I don't have to stop. Now, I know that the Revolutionary crowd knows these improvements. I wanted to be able to use some props, frankly. All right, and of course, these aren't the only interventions. We all know that there are a lot more, right? It ranges from not just the spacing and the lights, but the stop location, prepayment, all-door boarding, level boarding, real-time schedules, bus lanes, easy navigation. And of course, there's a lot of ways to speed up the bus incrementally. These are all incremental ways instead of a massive capital expense. So, being able to do these incremental improvements, it means that you can roll them out network-wide. Think about it. What if at the stroke of midnight, boom, every bus in your core system could get faster with signal priority or spaced out stops? That improves transit for folks in the way that they use transit, multiple lines, going all over, rather than just for those who live or work on a corridor. Now, that isn't to say that we shouldn't be going for big capital improvements. We need to hammer home the fact that transit investments big transit investments really aren't big at all when compared to what we invest in roads. So for example, in the state of Minnesota, if we invested in bus rapid transit at the level we currently invest in highways, we could have something like 21 additional BRT lines covering about 420 miles of routes with no need for federal matching dollars. Right, for context, Washington, D.C. has 6 primary train lines that cover 117 route miles. Why are we doing it? Political will. So let's build that political will. Let's build energy with quick wins and use that momentum to change our transportation system at the speed we need for climate change and to achieve justice. My name's Sam. I figured I should end the presentation like this. We need you to make the case for buses. We need you to join the battle for the bus.
Good evening. My name is Heather Hamilton. I am a project manager with BSC Group, as well as an elected official for the town of Brookline. I am a self-proclaimed transportation enthusiast and an advocate for micromobility. Tonight, I want to talk to you about space. No, not that kind of space. This kind of space. You see a parking structure on the left side of the street, a bus lane, 3 lanes of active travel, and a lane for parked cars. Would it surprise you to learn that as much as 55% of a city's space is dedicated to parking or travel for cars? It surprised me when I first learned about this in grad school. This is because we have become numb to it. It is hidden in plain sight. All around us are parking lots like the one you see here. Can you honestly tell me that this is the best use of this space? On the right side of this slide, you have Washington, D.C., and the highlighted areas are at-grade parking. On the left side of the slide, you have Kansas City. Whether it is codified in zoning or hidden around the back of our favorite local shops, we accommodate cars and therefore incentivize driving. One of these lots is next to a beautiful sanctuary pictured here. The other picture shows an at-grade parking lot built in the 1920s for the first automobiles. This space is not contributing to housing or public open space. Some argue that it leads to higher prices because it constrains supply. Overnight, the paradigm has shifted. As an elected official, it used to be political suicide to advocate for the removal of on-street parking. Now, it's become not only acceptable, but demanded by the very businesses and residents that once obstructed it. For close to 100 years, parking has been considered a public good. This justified the allocation of public open space for its use. However, I believe we've hit a tipping point. In economics, the term is called opportunity cost. Most public parking spaces can only serve up to 12 people per day. So if the paradigm has shifted, what does this mean? I believe it means that we now get to envision more community spaces where there once was pavement. I believe we should envision a future where outdoor space is available to everyone, whether you have a car or not. At the end of 2019, before COVID, INRIX, a mobility analytics and car connectivity firm known for its traffic analyses, found that 49% of all automobile trips in the Boston area are less than 3 miles, and 21% are under 1 mile. What is now being termed the green recovery. People are rediscovering the open space around them. Instead of heading to the Cape or the mountains, people want everyday open space. To be human is to travel. We need to be able to move about safely, and infrastructure should no longer be just about cars. Government has always been responsible for the safety of its residents. What does this mean now? For a long time, commuting patterns dictated that most people drove a personal car. But what if that underlying assumption is now false? More and more people are working from home, and therefore commuting patterns are changing. I live in Brookline, Massachusetts. Over 100 years ago, a man named Frederick Law Olmsted was tasked with designing the layout of Beacon Street. His original vision for Beacon Street included bike lanes, a trolley, a dedicated lane called a bridle path for a single rider on horseback, and plenty of room for horse and buggies. Today, that design has shifted to the accommodation of car travel and parked cars to the detriment of all other modes. The trolley doesn't even have signal prioritization. The travel lanes are so wide that the pedestrian signal is not long enough to cross Beacon Street in one cycle for most users. However, an active group of concerned parents and cyclists petitioned the town to bump out the angled parking on the median to accommodate a protected shared use path that would run along the trolley tracks right where the old bridle path used to run, where it protected riders on horseback. This depicts today's conditions trying to bike along Beacon Street. See the cars backing up behind the cyclist? This has created dangerous situations where drivers get aggressive, impatient, indecisive, and make unpredictable movements. This is a picture taken during one of 2 demonstrations Bike Brookline held to show what it would be like to take back the bridle path. Support for this movement was growing prior to the pandemic. Now it's reached critical mass as more people take to the streets without a car. Imagine the possibilities if we didn't have the same underlying assumptions about land use as we have in the past. We could accommodate more users because space would no longer be such a constraint. Traveling would be safer because you could design for reduced speed, and it could actually save us money. Most local zoning ordinances require parking, sometimes as many as 2 spots per 1 bedroom and even studio apartments. In order to cut costs on construction, developers allocate at-grade open space for that parking as pictured here. This is not the future. This isn't even our past. If we subjected historic buildings to today's zoning, they wouldn't get built. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We have an opportunity to change our fate. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you so much for listening. Let's build a better future for all.
Well, hi, darlings. My name's Sandy Decor, and I'm your favorite microwave cooking celebrity that you didn't know that you had. So I'm here today to remind you of just how unforgettable this experience is going to be. So I'm going to provide you some inspiration around the microwave, but especially for you transportation enthusiasts out there. I think you know who you are. So I just want to start off by saying that I'm a microwave cooking expert, but don't let my expert status intimidate you. Remember, I'm here to inspire you. And while the microwave has been hugely inspirational to me, it's not what defines me. I mean, I am a microwave cooking expert, but I'm so much more. And I know, aren't we all? So some of you might already know this, but I am a professional hand model. That's actually me in the top left photo up there, modeling one of my signature microwave cooking recipes. That's a bacon wrapped piece of liver on a disc of water chestnut. It's festive, it's fun. But I wasn't always a hand model. I didn't actually get into hand modeling until after I started a different type of modeling, and that's bicep modeling. So it's one of the lesser known of the upper body hand modeling types. It's right up there with elbow modeling, which I didn't really get into because my elbows tend to be a little bit dry. And I'm sure you're all wondering, well, Sandy, your arms look great. How did you get into fitness? Well, I am a certified microwave fitness instructor where I inspire people on how they can use their home microwave for fitness opportunities. In fact, I have a 3-part VHS series. It's called Low, Medium, and High. And right now, microwave fitness is trending, and that's because a lot of gyms, as we know, are closed. The microwave was actually the original kettlebell, so all you CrossFitters ain't got nothing on Sandy. So moving right along, I'm also a motivational speaker. I've done inspirational talks. I do microwave trust falls, corporate speaking events, you name it. And I'm also an author of over 25 microwave cookbook titles, which I'm sure most of you have heard of, and some of you may have or not. By now, I'm sure you're learning, wow, microwaves can really do anything. I mean, I wouldn't be in front of you today if it weren't for my microwave. My microwave tends to bring everybody to the yard. But you know what? Microwaves are actually getting you where you want to go, and you probably didn't realize it. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Microwaves are the foundation for the future of transportation. So you probably have seen this now in cities, or maybe your own city, where there's e-scooters, there's e-bikes, even electric vehicles, and sometimes they're all in one location so that they're easy to find, easy to access, but most importantly, easy to charge. And you probably know these places. They're called microwave mobility hubs, also known as micromobility hubs. So they were inspired by yours truly, where you harness the power of the microwave to recharge all of these different modes of transportation. So here's an actual map of my hometown, and it shows all the different microwave charging locations, and it's centered around a boulevard, which is my namesake, Sandy Boulevard. And so this is how it works with e-scooter charging. So in about the time that it takes to put on some lip gloss, you could be charging an e-scooter. You just set the microwave on top of the scooter, and there's a Bluetooth connection that allows the scooter to be charged by the microwave. And what's even more awesome about this is if you're not a fan of the standing scooter varieties, the microwave allows you to sit down and enjoy your ride. But besides that, while you're charging the e-scooter, it's also an opportunity to do some e-scooter hand modeling. So this is actually entry-level hand modeling, where you're not actually holding anything. You're just setting your hands on the handlebars of the scooter. And I encourage all of you, if you want to try this, the next time you ride a scooter, you can just hand model like nobody's watching. So I'm sure you're all wondering by now, well, Sandy, what about transit? Because not everybody rides scooters, more people ride the bus, and that's true. So how can a microwave enhance transit? So you're pretty certain that, buses aren't electrified now. Some are, but not all of them. But besides, it would take like 13 microwaves to really recharge a bus. So there's other ways that a microwave can enhance transit. And so this is one of the ways, is by sitting at a physically safe distance at a transit shelter. So most transit shelters only have one bench, and sitting side by side just really isn't a good idea right now. But with a microwave, you can safely and comfortably sit a minimum of 6 feet apart. And while you're also at the transit station, if nobody's there, you can feel comfortable and remove your mask. It's safe because you're outside, and you can really reclaim and find some personal me time. So if you were driving, you probably couldn't do these things, which you can do at a transit shelter with a microwave, whether that's reading your favorite book, refreshing your Instagram feed, doing your nails, or do you know what else you could be doing? Microwaving some muffins. So this is truly the definition of an enhanced transit microwave corridor, where not only can you sit physically distanced at a safe space, but you can also be cooking with these transit shelters that have microwaves built into them. So I like to bring muffin batter with me in my purse and make muffins on the go. It's great. So moving right along, what about e-bikes? So in my hometown of Portland, we just got a brand new fleet of electric assist bike share bikes, and the project team hired me as a consultant because they wanted to make sure that there was enough microwave charging stations to charge the new fleet of bicycles. So what's great about these is the basket in front is specially designed to hold a microwave and charge it. So unlike the e-scooters, which don't take as much time to charge, the microwave takes a little bit longer. And so I'm sure you're learning by now that if you had a microwave, you'd probably be hand modeling by now, or you'd be doing my VHS fitness tape. But you know what? Don't be fooled, my friends. Being this fabulous isn't always easy, but that's okay, because microwaves, they're really a metaphor for life. They tell us the truth. And while they're hugely inspirational, they can also reveal our inner challenges, and sometimes both of those things. So what's important to remember is try to harness what the microwave is trying to channel through you. Because if somebody were to have said to me, even just last year, Sandy, your ability to reach the masses and inspire them about microwaves is going to be huge next year, I wouldn't have believed them. But I dreamed of this reality. I dreamt this all up. And you know what? In Sandy's reality, science is real, Black Lives Matter, love is love, no human is illegal, climate change is real, women's rights are human rights, and kindness is everything. So I hope you will all join me in making this our collective reality, because creating this world is within our grasp if we dream it into reality right now.
We can do better than this. Women comprise 50% of the world's population, but live in a built environment designed largely by and for men. Designing for the default male stems from gender imbalances in decision-making and omission of women from data, research, design, and construction of the built environment and public life. Our industry, like many others, must address the ingrained inequities women face today. Cities are increasingly suburban, lengthening the time it takes to do just about anything, and those completing off-peak trips and running errands are poorly serviced by transit. Most often, those completing those types of trips are women. Furthermore, recent protests have illuminated the systemic racism coded into our cities. And of course, the COVID crisis has pushed many mobility issues that women face to the forefront. Transit agencies have severely reduced transit service to cope with decreased ridership, reducing reliability, and increasing travel times. These ridership cuts are disproportionately disadvantaging women, as more men tend to drive and cycle, while more women tend to walk and take transit. Given the outsized proportion of the Black community that is transit dependent, service changes disadvantage Black folk more than any other group, and Black women are particularly vulnerable to the limited access to services. As our work structures evolve in a COVID world, we need to reevaluate what equity looks like. So, putting skirt and some hair on the walking man, very cute, I agree, but we have to go beyond these token representations to get to the root causes of these inequities. Now, everybody's favorite, RBG, initially took on discrimination cases actually on behalf of men, because she realized that everyone benefits from the additional protections of equity-oriented outcomes. Things like job flexibility, transit reliability will lift everybody up, and to do that, we'll be starting with the most vulnerable. So, how have we gotten here? For generations, a woman's place was assumed to be in the home. By not considering the unique needs of women travelers and designing for the peak commute hours that has become the norm, the result is that low or non-paying work has been completely overlooked and devalued, and that has resulted in the traffic patterns we have today. The limitations women experience, though, sort of come as no surprise once we consider that the representation of women in professions that influence the built environment is pretty minor, especially in engineering and transportation. As you can see, women make up only a tiny slice of the pie, and women are also very frequently absent from the power structures that govern our cities and our city decision makers. And so what has this caused? On any given day, women are likely to be going to their jobs, picking up kids, looking after elderly family members, running errands, and not just traveling to and from work. In some cases, when women end up spending an extra 2 hours on transit as a result of these extra tasks. Women are also far more likely than men to travel with children, consequently disadvantaging women through these limited transit choices disproportionately burdens children. So women have indicated that transit fare policies can be really confusing and burdensome for families, as well as forget trying to carry a stroller down a couple flights of stairs to get to your train. Women are particularly sensitive to quality bike infrastructure. They're much more likely to ride when it's both perceived and actually feeling safe. So if you have cycle lanes that are well designed, like in the Netherlands, you actually get more women than men driving and biking. Sadly, though, the vast majority of women who use public transportation have experienced some form of harassment. This has often gone unreported, and this really affects women's travel patterns. It really amounts to a form of discrimination when you can't use infrastructure that was meant to be designed for all because you don't feel safe. And as a result of these limited choices, women change their travel behaviors and they end up spending more money than men on transportation. A New York survey found that women spend $26 to $50 more a month taking taxis and ride-based app services when they don't feel safe to take transit. One of the main things we found is that we just need better data. Having gender disaggregated data would allow us to understand the nuanced gender biases in the built environment. When we design for the default male and don't really explore what the current conditions are, we just perpetually continue this cycle of not designing for everybody. And of course, when I say everybody, women are not a monolith, right? We bring a variety of perspectives, backgrounds, and needs which need to be considered. So a planning process that is successful for women is one that places intersectionality at the forefront. Race, ethnic background, LGBT identity, parenting status, all of these things really need to be uplifted in our analyses. So what can we do? There are actually places we can look to for change. Gender mainstreaming provides a process for looking at gender in planning decisions. Incorporated into many European planning efforts, this is already happening in Vienna as a great case study. In 1999, they adopted a gender mainstreaming process into their city to benefit both women and men. So by interviewing and photo documenting how women got around, women of all ages, abilities, backgrounds, 60 or more projects have been fast-tracked from parks to residential developments, transit, widening sidewalks, lighting, etc., to help make places more inclusive. LA Metro has done a great job leading transit agencies in establishing a Women and Girls Governing Council. And the first thing they did was identify the need to conduct an extensive survey on how women travel. The goal of theirs was to shift from gender neutral planning to gender responsive planning. So using focus groups, surveys, observation, workshops, pop-ups, etc., to understand user preferences for both men and women, they found that women ride public transit more, their numbers are increasing, and actually the number of men riding transit are decreasing. So this is all the more reason to focus on women and women's design considerations. So if there's anything you take away from this, it's to think about, as transportation professionals, what is one thing you can do every day to bridge the equity gap in your work? We can do it if we have empathy, listen to each other, and work together. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that first round of presentations. They were really entertaining. And when I think about the sort of the themes that we've been bringing to this show for years to the conference, it's really about new ideas, different perspectives, things that aren't quite able to fit into the main conference program, but really have a place in the conversation. And so I think we're continuing to broaden the network through these presentations and really broaden the dialogue in all sorts of ways. And this is really, this year is really no different. And in fact, as part of the halftime show here, I thought it'd be fun to bring back one of our presenters from that first round to help us do this game show that we're going to do, Cards Against Urbanity. So I'd like to introduce Sandy Decor. Welcome, Sandy.
Hi, Art. It is an honor to be here today. Sandy Decor, for all of you who are just getting to know me, I'm a microwave cooking expert, and I hope you are all just wildly inspired by all that transportation microwave mashup. Thank you so much.
I'm just so amazed by how much you can combine these, what seemingly did sort of separated genres together into one conversation and one set of philosophies.
It's so true. It's so true. And I know, you're coming to the table here tonight with a little bit of Corona. I wanted to just pour a little bit of rosé, Sandy drink. And you know what? Let's just do a little toast to the audience, a little toast to Revolution, and a little toast to the Pechacucha Slam, the PK Slam tonight. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. So Sandy, I really enjoyed your presentation. It was really fun to learn a little bit about your perspectives here. Tell me a little bit more about how you discovered your love for microwave cooking.
Well, that's a great question. So as all of you learned, I am a professional hand model, and I got my beginnings because I was a model in a lot of these microwave cookbooks. This is when I started writing my own. And here's an example with the nacho chips. I think I still kind of have it. It's actually a beginner type hand modeling, but the bacon one is a little bit more difficult. You have to feature your thumb. But I started off because I was a hand model, and I thought, you know what? I love the recipes, but I think I could step it up. So I started writing my microwave cookbooks, and I go around the country with my microwave, and I inspire people about all the ways you could use one.
Wow. And so those were actually your fingers in those cookbooks there.
They're actually my fingers. I know. Who knew? I have very fast hands. You've probably seen them, but you didn't know.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever thought about whose fingers those were in those different photos. That's really,
I know. Amazing. Yeah.
Right.
It's so amazing.
So, do you have advice about hand modeling? Like, how would I, if I wanted to get into hand modeling, other than while riding a scooter, what should I do?
Well, I think that's actually a really good way to start, because you just rest your hands on things and you can find the angle that works for you. So I think everyone who's watching tonight, just try it out. Maybe take your beverage. You can just try it out. You can do different angles. It's really how you feel about yourself and your hands. There's really no limitation.
And you want relaxed hands. You want your hands.
Relaxed hands. Right. Exactly.
Right. And actually that really relates to transportation. You can't have relaxed hands unless you feel comfortable as you're getting around the city. Right?
That's so true.
You're really holding on tight.
Yeah, no, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. So just
right.
Relaxed hands, everybody. Relaxed hands.
Yeah. I see a new, seems like a new hashtag, relaxed hands, and some selfie photos. Is a chance for Revolution social media community to really take this.
Exactly. And you know what? Speaking of social media, thank you so much, Art. I wanted to welcome everybody. And, you can find me also on Instagram at sandy.decor. It's a little bit hard to read with the angle here. But anyway, you can check out my Instagram page, sandy.decor, and you'll see all the different things that I do with the microwave.
Yeah, no kidding. But I hear you can do other things with a microwave other than cooking.
That is true. There's so many different things, from microwave meditation. When you're waiting for food to cook in the microwave, what better way than just take a moment for yourself and meditate. There's also something that maybe you're into, Art. I know that you're into mountain biking, and you do backcountry skiing,
right?
But have you done microwave fitness?
No, never once.
Okay, well, I think I want to introduce you, but before we go into the full microwave fitness, we need to warm up a little bit. And so I have this water dumbbell that I like to fill up with a protein supplement shake, and I'll explain in a second. So here, I'll hand this over to you. And yeah. Oh, good. Great.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Wow, it's heavy.
So, do you feel the weight in it?
Yeah.
So I already filled it up with one of my microwavable vegan protein shakes, because I like to drink it after a workout. And what's great about it is, as I mentioned, it is vegan. It's called Dude, No Way. And it is just a grab and go product. You might recognize it at the store or not, but that's what I have inside of our dumbbells.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you can shake it a little bit and it mixes it all up. In the winter, I like to have hot ones. So I just pop them in the microwave, but I like to warm up first before I do some of the exercises in my VHS. I know all of you saw, it was the Sandy Decor low, medium, and high series. No matter where you are on your fitness goals, there's room for it. So
there's something for everybody here. Right.
Something for everybody. So we can just do some bicep curls just to warm up. Yeah. Oh, you're already onto the one-armed ones. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You can switch arms. Yep. And then you can also do a little behind the neck. Make sure you have good posture.
Oh, yeah.
So this is featured in my VHS and on my Instagram. So once you get familiarized and warmed up, then we go into microwave fitness. So that's just a little taste of some of the other things you can do with the microwave.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
That's great.
Anything else we should know about you before we head on to our game?
I think I'm just ready to start introducing the contestants, if that's
right. Let's do it. Okay, well, Sandy, let's bring the contestants onto the screen with us, and take it away. You can introduce each of the contestants.
Thank you. So first up, we're going to introduce Nina Harvey Schottmeyer. Nina.
Hello.
Hi. So Nina is joining us today from Culver City, California. And here's a little fun fact about Nina. She started her transportation career as a bus driver, and she had a completely clean driving record until her first day on the job when she got into a fender bender. Nina, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
So yeah, thanks, Sandy, for bringing up that moment. Thanks. I really enjoy thinking about that. So it was my first day, and there was this really tight left turn that was part of the route, and right in front of me there was a telephone pole. It's a T intersection, and then there was a car waiting at the light, and I was a tiny little like VW bug with this cute old lady sitting in the driver's seat, and I was really nervous about hitting that telephone pole, so I made sure that as I was turning, that my mirror wouldn't hit the pole, and totally smashed this poor lady's fender. And then I ended up having to stop in the middle of the intersection and then getting out and directing traffic, which I had no idea how to do because this huge bus was kind of just blocking the way. So anyway, it was uphill from there.
I think what really, the telephone pole moved is really what happened. But at least
pretty
do
sure
some hand modeling by you were guiding the traffic. So way to turn it around and turn a misfortune into some opportunity. Well, Nina, we're really glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you so much, Sandy.
Bring up our next contestant. We're going to bring up Lucy Galbraith, joining us from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Can we just give a little hand clap here? All of you at home? Exactly. Got Lucy here. And a little fun fact, we learned today that in one 5-year period in her life, Lucy logged over 15,000 miles on Amtrak. I would love to hear where you went.
Well, I was living in New Haven, Connecticut, and I had part-time gigs down in DC, and friends and family kind of scattered Boston, Vermont, Rochester, New York, Atlanta, and I just got in the habit of taking Amtrak to every place I went that they could let me. So I got really good at getting on and off Amtrak.
That's great. Did they have microwaves on the Amtrak, just out of curiosity?
No. This was not the high end with a dining car. This was, standard Amtrak.
Gotcha. Well,
I suppose you could have brought your own with you, though, Lucy, now that we think about it.
Well, I don't want to date myself, and I know nobody else would, but I don't think there were microwaves back then. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, Lucy, we're so glad to have you here tonight. And so let's bring up our next contestant. That's Steve Granson, joining us from Houston, Texas. So a little fun fact about Steve. Steve was once interrogated by the CIA, and he has an appreciation for waterboarding. I have so many questions. So Steve, where would you like to start with that? And just know that this is being recorded. I don't know if you want to disclose CIA waterboarding. Steve, take it away.
Well, Sandy, if we must discuss, the interesting thing about that experience, and it's a real experience, is that I was actually interviewing for a job. I have no idea what the job was, but yeah, it did not go well. Did not go well. They fed me lunch, and then it was all downhill after that. So the good thing is about 2 weeks later, I get a letter in the mail. Basically, and I wish I had kept this letter, but it was a letter stating that I was a national security risk. And thus, it led me to a career in planning and public transportation.
Absolutely. You know, that's actually how many of us started, Steve.
And I think too, you know, the CIA might want to be contacting Sandy for microwave espionage. Who knows? They got my number. All right. Well, Steve, we're so happy to have you in transportation and planning. It's well suited. So our last contestant tonight is Heather Hamilton, joining us from Boston, Massachusetts. So really exciting. I learned, fun fact about Heather, she was a competitive ballroom dancer and once came in 5th at a bodybuilding competition. So I want to hear about this. Heather, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Well,
Yeah.
I am just crazy about transportation, and I think that you can find transportation in all facets of life, whether it is walking across a stage and striking that pose during a bodybuilding competition, or dancing your way through life.
That's so great. So I was wondering, Heather, did you get your bodybuilding inspiration from my women's bodybuilding book? It was when I had dark hair. So that's me on the cover. It's called Pumping Up by me, Sandy Decor. Is this
Oh, yes.
for your bodybuilding competition?
I am an avid follower. I was probably one of your first followers on Instagram.
That's what everybody says. It's great. Well, we're really happy to have all 4 of you with us today. So Art, would you want to tell us about the game that we're going to play tonight?
Yes, you bet. So we're going to play a modified version of Cards Against Humanity that's called Cards Against Urbanity, which is, we try to find ways of bringing the earnest city planner into any kind of events we can bring into. So this will be some fun and games related to city planning and transportation planning topics. So the way the game will work is we will bring along the prompt questions, and Sandy will help us with that. And then each of the contestants here have some pre-selected answers to choose from that they need to populate for each round of the questions. And for each round, we're going to have you, the audience, vote for which one is the best answer for each round. So we're going to need your help here to make this game really, really work together. Any other things I forgot, Sandy, about how the game will work?
No, we're going to read off the questions when they're ready. They've been marinating. But remember, all of you watching at home, this is really about a community event. So please remember to vote. So let me see if the first question.
Yeah, please look. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's done. Let's see what it says. So first question is, I've got 99 problems, but ain't one. So let's think about contestants, and we're looking for your answer to this.
All right, contestants, think this one through. Might need a song lyric in your heads to really get it going. Right, well, our contestants, are you ready? I think so. All right. Well, let's find out from each audience member or each contestant what their answers were. So I'll ask the first one. Nina, what did you come up with as your answer to that?
Well, Art, it was tough, but at this current moment, I have to say I've got 99 problems for sure, but doomsday creepers are not one. In fact, I wish I had more of them in my house.
You know, if you were in Oregon, that might be a different answer, but yeah, we understand.
Touche, that was good. All right, let's move over to our second contestant. Lucy, what do you think about this question? What do you got?
Well, I've got 99 problems at least, but low-hanging fruit isn't one of them.
Nice. I like it. All right. How about you, Steve? What's your answer?
Well, Art, as my Revolution family knows, I'm no fan of dogs or pets in general. So I've got 99 problems, but a pooper scooper isn't one of them.
Love it.
All right, and last but not least, Heather, what do you have?
Driving to the gym.
Nice. Well, as a former, fitness enthusiast or a current fitness enthusiast, that says a lot about your adaptability. You must be doing a lot at home.
Or microwave fitness from home.
Or microwave fitness.
I mean, the journey is really supposed to be part of the whole workout.
Absolutely. I've always loved that imagery of the escalator heading up to the front of that 24-hour fitness in California somewhere. Yeah. Great. Well, I think this is a chance for the audience. There's a poll in your conference link. If you'll click over to the poll, this is your opportunity to let us know which answer you thought was the best to fit that question. Sandy, what do you think about, do you have a favorite out of that one so far?
I mean, I am partial to the food ones, but that might just be a little bit biased. So right. Like that one.
Right. Now, and I do like.
Were you inspired by any of them more than the other?
Ooh, looks like.
Ooh, it's getting close.
Super close game. I like this. So far, Steve's in the lead, just barely. Hooper Scooper holding strong. I don't know actually how long we're supposed to let this run.
Well, we're going to do a cumulative because we're going to do several questions. So
that's true. We can let this one go. So far we've got Steve in the lead, but I think you can still complete your votes for that one if you haven't gotten in. Sandy, will you should you check on the second question? You think it might be ready?
Yes, definitely. It's like a good microwave popcorn, but even better. All right. Question number 2. Of songs again. I'm not going to sing it for you, but we built this city on. Yeah. What did we build it on? Not sure.
Definitely could be some very this one. I feel like this could take us in a lot of directions.
It really could.
Right. Participants, think about your answer here for a second. Okay. Nina, are you ready for your answer?
I am. This may be a little bit on the nose, but I couldn't help myself, so I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
Growth.
Sometimes the answers just write themselves. They just match up. There's no irony there.
All right, let's go over to Lucy. And Lucy, what do you have to share with us?
We built this city on handcrafted pre-war cocktails.
Who knew?
So true. And unfiltered cigarettes. Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
We still have a big grain belt beer sign that lights up at night.
Oh, yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah. Steve, what do you have for this?
Art, had a lot of good choices on this one, but if anyone who's been in the profession as long as we have, you get a little jaded. So we built this city on a dumpster full of citizen preference surveys.
In fact, there's been a number of Pechacucha presentations on the public outreach process over the years. No, absolutely. That is that's strongly part of our work for sure.
It's a challenge. The feel is real. The feel is real. So Heather, let's move on to you. What do you have as an answer?
We built this city on eating duck confit while dissing gentrification.
Woo!
Wow,
you might have lucked out on that one. That's a good one. Okay, well let's turn this over to the audience poll. And so we want to hear back from you. This is your chance. Type on in, but think about your hand composure. We want good form during this as you're and voting.
Relax. Remember, there's no tension here. It's very relaxed.
For the other participants, have you guys tried your hand modeling pose yet this evening? I find myself now doing it whenever I'm on screen.
Maya has a great one.
I've done modeling, but never hand modeling.
Right. I've heard. I wasn't sure if it was okay to bring that up.
It's fine.
Oh, well, Lucy, tell us more about those other modelings that you've done over the years.
Well, I did runway modeling some in college, but I did model, I did do photo shoots for both AARP and Playboy.
That's awesome. That's spanning the full spectrum.
Wow.
She's timeless. All right, let's look at the results. Steve.
Wow.
Ooh, Steve.
Continuing to take it away.
I think the pressure's on.
Yeah. All right, people, we're gonna need, you've got a clear lead runner. What do you think, Sandy? Should we try a third round?
I think we should try a third round. Yeah. This one's just been sitting and cooling. I don't think I need the timer for that one. So let's see what it says. So, headline: City planner unintentionally destroys what? You know, this makes the headlines all the time and we don't want it to. So think about it, contestants. City planner unintentionally destroys what?
Right. You know, this is a chance for us to think about you know, the difference between intent and outcomes. There's been a lot of themes already in the conference about the difference there. So there's a lot to unpack here, contestants.
There is. And there's a lot on the line. I mean, Steve is ahead, but it could change. It's a real, it's anyone's game at this point.
I know, and I do feel like, you know, Steve's kind of a man about revolution, so this could also be a form of a popularity contest that, you know, so we want to make sure people are just voting on the answers themselves and not how much we love Steve. All right.
I think so.
Should we do the third round?
Yeah, so ask away. Nina.
Me?
So first question is for Nina.
Well, since I got 6% in the last one, I'm going to let my assistant just pick whatever she wants. So here we go. Maya, can you show them? Thank you, Maya.
I love it.
You still don't know what she chose. Wow, that I am legitimately laughing hard at that one.
It's probably better than the one I had.
No, that's great,
so
and I love the fact that this is very true to our new Zoom lifestyle, where we've got you know, pets and family members involved. So I really appreciate you bringing in some help.
Thank you.
That's a great one. Lucy, what do you have?
It's really hard to follow that act. What I have, and I fixed my card, is that city planner unintentionally destroys another cupcake shop.
Nice.
Had to do something. But no, the previous one was good.
All right. How about you, Steve? What is your answer for this one?
Art, may I ask that you repeat the sentence again?
Oh, city planner unintentionally destroys blank.
Well, I'm gonna go with this know-it-all interns from GSD. They're always trying to get ahead. They're always trying to get ahead. I'm a city planner. Can't take my job.
Show him who's boss. Show him who's boss. All right, and last but not least, let's go over to Heather.
The 311 complaint hotline. Are there any real accidents?
It's good.
I love it. All right, well, let's turn this back to the audience. This is your chance for another round of voting. So let's get your input on which one is the best answer for this round.
And Art, I mean, does it feel like we have a fifth contestant when we have a a child, or is that okay with the rules of the game? I wasn't sure.
I think we can let it slide for this round, for sure. If there's pets or other, you can call in a friend, whatever it takes to compete in this game.
You could be faxing somebody saying, "Hey, I need
Absolutely. And for those that are wondering where this game came from, we'll put in the link in the chat there the link to the PDF file of this game, so you can print it out at home and do it yourself if you want. Megan's asking if we can hold up the answers again. Will you hold up your answers? I think people are wanting to be reminded of what your answers were. We have sidewalks covered in vomit, Noel intern PSD, 311 complaint hotline, and another cupcake shop. Ooh, Nina.
Ooh, never know what the future holds. True testament to 2020. Never know what the future holds.
Absolutely.
It's urbanity.
I had a whole period of outreach where I was doing night meetings with my 3-year-old son, and I'd bring him and his teddy bear and have him, stand in front of me, and there was just no conversation that wouldn't go well. I could be announcing almost anything with a young participant at my side. Okay, well, I think we have one last round. Is that right, Sandy?
I think we have exactly one last round. And at this point, I feel like it's really anybody's game. So let's see what we got going on. I had this one on defrost.
Ooh.
All right, let's see what we got. Nice and defrosted. Our cities just announced subsidies for what? Great question, because there's a lot of budget constraints right now. So think about it, contestants. Our city just announced subsidies for
What do you think, audience? I think we're ready for the last round of answers. So, Nina, with you and your assistant, do you have your answer for this one yet?
We do. Maya, do you want to show them? Answer is helicopter parenting.
Ah!
For all you helicopter parents out there. No, I'm not one. You're one.
I'm impressed because I didn't know if bedtime had happened in the last 8 minutes, but it hadn't. So I'm really glad that we could get that one. That's a good one. All right, Lucy, what do you have to share with us?
Our city just announced subsidies for Prozac brownies.
Actually, that might be a little too real.
Exactly.
That one feels pretty on point. How about you, Steve? What's your answer to this one?
All right, I feel like I have to redeem myself. I didn't score too well on the last one.
I know.
Maybe it was the whole violence issue. Who knows? But I'm gonna go with. Let's see here. So I'm gonna go with our city just announced subsidies for the original, the OG of micro mobility clown cars.
What's amazing about clown cars is how many people they can hold. I mean, think about the efficiency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's good throughput on our way. Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so let's go to our final contestant. Final question. Hope it's good. Heather, what do you have to share with us?
Bar cars on subways and light rail.
Ooh. Also good, but we'll do whatever it takes to bring people back to the urban core.
It's 5 o'clock everywhere. At every hour now.
Really is.
So true to last time, let's have everybody hold up their answers so the audience can vote on one that they think best is suited for our city just announced subsidies for. Think about it, friends, out there in the virtual world. It's anybody's game at this point.
All right, let's see what the, ooh, tight, this is a tight one. But definitely a thematic winning strategy here. It's either Prozac or cocktails that are going to get us through.
It's either or.
That's right.
You know, I think we have a biased audience.
I think we do.
I think you got the best
is,
cards. I mean,
yeah.
come on.
Absolutely. All right, well, Sandy, before we head into talking about who might have won the overall game, do you have a prize you want to tell us about?
I do. So tonight I am sharing the world's only, because it hasn't been mass produced yet, Sandy Decor microwavable product. It's in my turnkey signature series. And that's because you literally just turn the key on my microwavable chopped ham. So it's a look, and you just turn the key once you've microwaved it. The whole thing will go in the microwave. So this could be yours. It's going to be featured in grocery stores soon. I think you could also get it delivered. And it goes along with the, dude, no way. It's the same orange. It's very distinct. So look for it in your grocery store. So I know you're all wanting some microwavable chopped ham.
Absolutely. That is such a prize. The stakes are up, people. This is definitely
the stakes are up or the ham is down. Yeah, either one.
Love it. All right. Well, it looks like we've gotten through the chat from Megan, because maybe it doesn't come through visibly. And so I'm going to announce that Steve is the winner of the chopped ham.
So I'd really like to know, Steve, what are you going to do with Sandy Decor's microwavable chopped ham?
Well, Thanksgiving is coming up.
Right.
So, you know, I always, you know, get told to bring drinks and plasticware to Thanksgiving. You know, we're in a COVID environment now, so I'm not sure if we're going to celebrate, but I have a ham this year.
Absolutely. And so our second place winner was Nina, who came in with the largest single win. And I'm wondering, Sandy, if maybe you would send to her a Zoom profile that she could replace her profile with for the many meetings to come.
We could do that. Or I could offer her one of Sandy Decor's lip glosses, a new one, because we're not going to share. Also, I could offer that to Steve too. Just let me know. Find me on Instagram.
I wants lip gloss, so we're very excited. Thank you.
All right.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
I do have ham flavored lip gloss if you prefer that, Steve.
All right. Well, I think we're at the end of our game. I really want to thank you all as contestants for being willing to play along with this new experiment. And I originally pictured this as something that would happen, you know, in front of the audience as a live action, and I can really continue to see the potential for that. So I think this game is coming back as a new twist to the Pechacucha Slam. So expect it more next year for sure. Sandy, anything else you want to say to our contestants before we move on to the next stage?
I just want to thank everybody for participating and being here and having a fun time. Even though we're remote, that doesn't mean that we can't have a good time together.
Yeah. And Sandy,
Thank you both.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, and thank you, Sandy, for stepping up to help me host this event. It would definitely not have been the same without you. So I really appreciate it.
It was an honor.
All right. So everyone, as you leave behind for Sandy, the takeaway, remember, practice this every time you're on your bike or on your scooter. Calm hands on the scooter. This is for all of you out there. All right. Well, I think we're ready for our second set of presenters. So I guess our contestants can hide their screens. And I'd like to introduce Ronnie Hakem from HNTB, who's the sponsor of tonight's event, who wants to say a couple words and thank everyone for participating in this event tonight. Ronnie, are you able to join us?
Yes, I am. Are you able to see me?
I think so. Actually, I can't see you yet.
But you can hear me.
We can definitely hear you.
Okay.
Let's see. Looks like Ronnie, your camera might, oh, there you is. There's your camera on. Terrific. Well, thank you, Ronnie, and thank you so much for HNTB for agreeing to be the sponsor of this event. Really, we wouldn't be able to put on this this show every year without help. So I really, really appreciate it.
Great. And thank you, Art, and to all of you who are tuning in tonight. It's great to be with y'all. I'm so energized by the PK Slam event tonight we've seen thus far. I'm excited to see those that are still to come. You know, everybody that we've heard from today is a testament to the talent and leadership that we've been advocating for improved mobility across the country, and is proof that the future, in fact, can be brighter. If we need more proof of that, you know, Steve Granson is great, but Sandy's hand modeling demo and microwave charging really proved that we have a brighter future ahead of us. It's such an honor for HNTB to be a sponsor of Revolution. To me, what we're all experiencing this year has put a spotlight on everything that we need to do as an industry ahead of us. And really that work directly relates to the mission of Revolution, which is investing in transit to create vibrant and equitable communities. That's exactly what we at HNTB are focused on in our work with our clients. So let's all keep working with our local communities. Let's better connect people and places. Let's expand opportunities and in turn create a brighter future for the places we call home. And so let's continue to have fun tonight in the PK Slam event. And HNTB is proud to be a sponsor. So thank you for being a part of this extraordinary event, all of you in your virtual locations. And I hope that you enjoy our next round of presentations and the rest of the evening. Thanks, Art. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm Ana Francisca, and this is me on site about 2 months ago. I'm an architect, and I've been dedicated to public transit for the past 12 years in our office in Toronto, Canada. Before that, I was a dancer. So this photo depicts two passions I have in my life, architecture and dance. And reason I want to speak about public art in transit architecture. It used to be that architects like Michelangelo in the 16th century was the architect, the sculptor, and the painter as well. But modern times have made us more specialized. And each one of us, architects, visual artists, and sculptors, think of space in different ways. More and more municipalities are dedicating one part of their budget to have a visual artist participate in large public infrastructure projects such as transit. As in a shotgun wedding, artists joined the group of designers to do these public facilities. And why? Well, because art matters. It matters because it fulfills a role that nothing else can. It can provoke, it can incite, it entertains, it connects us. Does it have the cure to the pandemic? No, but that's not the point. But it can make us think different. It can help us process. As designers, our priority is to keep you safe, but also to connect you, and not only to their destination, but to your city, to your community, and get you out of your single-use vehicle and be able to be part of these facilities and use these common places. Like in this tunnel, for instance, if the artist wouldn't have thought of all this tile design, your experience would be so different. You wouldn't notice it. But every time you go through that space, it makes it different. It moves with you. Brings a very different dimension. In Mexico City, where I'm originally from, well, transit is maximized. Like in this part of the corridor, there's a spontaneous program, dance class, and you may just choose to dance or meet someone. You can also take English classes, you can access internet, there's libraries. There's many uses that take place in these facilities. In Taiwan, there's this incredible dome, and more performances take place there. And so you can just go by and listen casually or stop. They also rent it for weddings, which adds revenue to the transit agency. And it may not only be in the facility, but it also might be in your transit card. It may tell you something that is going on in your community, such as police brutality. But also art can play with you. Like in these examples, it may go on the wall and create a bench or walk in different ways, and it aligns up or it doesn't. I want to tell you a story of what happened at some point in my career that made me realize the importance of art in architecture. This image was, we were about to build, we were designing Finch West Station in Toronto. And our office was collaborating with Will Alsop, and he put this image that a visual artist had created in order to inspire our work, and said, this is our concept. Our concept is for this station to be the station of love. Of course, the engineers from the transit agency and everyone was confused. Well, they wanted to know where the electrical rooms were, where the passenger circulation was. And true enough, we did get there. But that was our first, the first drive. And one part of the subways are the substations. These giant transformers are the lifeline of the subways. And it was very difficult to know where to locate it. So we decided to put it on the second floor. So it wouldn't be at grade, because it's a large industrial building. So we put it on the second floor. And that's when the public artist, Bruce Mclean, came and joined the team. He had been selected to be part of the design of this station, and he said, I want to create a family of objects lifting this red box onto the second floor. Eventually, his art evolved into Minorcan columns. He was inspired by these columns from ancient times on the south of Spain, and he worked with the engineers to make these capitals, which create a very different experience of the space. And nowadays, we have Finch West Station up in the air with a flying beam of a substation and a public realm that is transparent at grade. His art became part of the engineering and also of the architecture. So if you want art in public facilities, get an artist and get them early. Make them part of the team and participate in all the different areas. You also want for architects to make sure that there's enough space for these art to happen. So for instance, double height spaces, you need the participation of all the different designers in order to make space for not only art, but also our daily commute, to make something ordinary extraordinary. Yes, there's many reasons why this shouldn't happen. The things that stop us, egos and budgets and the perception that it's superficial. But it's worth it. It's an investment. It would attract ridership. It can make transit spaces much more flexible. So let's embrace and bring diversity onto the design team. And not only in the design, but also the construction and the maintenance and the operations. Different ways of thinking that can enable us to make our space more and more inclusive. So, if you were doing a station, what would it be? Would it be a station of love or what? Thank you.
In the 1930s, a group of African Americans bought land and built homes in Sag Harbor, New York, establishing a community that spanned multiple generations. Terry and Meredith Maud, who began the development, envisioned a place where Black families could rest, grow, raise families, and simply exist without the burden of systemic oppression. My positionality is tied to my career path. I began as an architect, then went back to school to become an urban planner, and over time I became a transportation planner. I have lived and worked on both U.S. coasts and in 2 East German cities, and I speak 2 languages, and I believe in the power of place. The importance of safe and stable places where individuals and families can thrive has become more and more apparent during COVID. Confined to our homes and neighborhoods, we have been asked to reassess the sustainability of our communities. What part can we play as transportation planning agencies and practitioners to create safe and prosperous places for everyone? First of all, let's recognize that income inequality in the U.S. is at an all-time high, with 50% of total income going to the top 10%. And this inequality has a clear racial component. The income gap between Black and white families has not improved since the 70s. In parallel to rising inequality is a lack of upward mobility. Once economically disadvantaged, you and your family tend to stay economically disadvantaged. And this decrease in upward mobility has a clear spatial dimension. There is a geography of inequality in the U.S. A chance at upward mobility is tied to one's opportunities. Areas with high levels of upward mobility generally have less segregation, less income inequality, better schools, greater social capital, greater family and housing stability. In summary, they have higher community wealth. Links have been shown between the decline of upward mobility and ongoing sprawl in the U.S. The rapid rise of housing costs close to core cities has severely reduced the choices of homes. Urban sprawl outside the core has made more people dependent on cars, and the dependence on key corridors has limited transit service to peak hours. In Germany, where I began my planning career, we see an emphasis on developing compact places in spatial planning. Beyond that, there's an emphasis on creating networks of compact places that, taken together, offer opportunities and services and stability outside the central hub. Where I currently live in the Pacific Northwest, there's a different pattern. People live all along I-5, which is the spine, and a highway, and this encourages this type of settlement pattern. However, the jobs are more concentrated. This spatial mismatch drives a peak demand dilemma. And unless you're in the central hub, you need a car. Can we channel growth into more equitable patterns? We have traditionally focused on feasibility as a first step in transportation planning. Beginning from feasibility, though, is a path of least resistance approach, which often results in strengthening existing inequitable patterns. Our focus on accommodating peak demand also leaves transit deserts and less connected places even more isolated. Could we step back from this principle and do the proactive work to create networks or branches off the spine that could focus on service to intermediate hubs and low-income areas and connections between these intermediate hubs? However, creating better physical connections in the absence of policy often results in displacement. We need to integrate housing and land use policies and infrastructure decisions to support the building of community wealth in place. I think again of the Berlin-Brandenburg example, which is built on a concept of economic and physical decentralization, with mid-sized cities and small towns and industries supported by fixed rail connections. Both a hub and spoke system and a system of 3 concentric circles tie intermediate cities together. Both the Long Island Railroad example and the German example are expensive. We know that funding and financing of such systems is complicated. and private funding and private risk-taking is required for transportation projects in the U.S. Should we maybe look harder at regional economic competitiveness and the risk of not doing something in addition to individual project risk? And although I might think that decentralization and networks are the way to go, I am not the decider. Early involvement of communities and stakeholders is key. This promotes co-creation. How would people who live in the region define and measure accessibility and livability? Beginning with shared values and needs instead of feasibility will give us a better understanding of the people and communities that we serve. Can we develop a system that reflects multiple travel patterns and includes investigations of non-peak patterns in demand? Within our cities, we have started to confront the issue of inequality. We have been gathering data and developing equity indices for our cities and neighborhoods. However, to address the geography of inequality in the U.S., are there ways to pull this equity data together to create a regional understanding? Looking at the region changes our focus in ways that begin to address unequal access to opportunities. We understand the value of the region as a competitive global force. But to access that, we need to recognize that we must build a sustainable, interconnected system. This pushes us instinctively towards an integrated approach, and this integrated approach promotes a flatter hierarchy of decision-making, which opens up the discussion to more voices. And more voices is key. Let's move forward thoughtfully towards a regional system of equitable places. Thank you.
With a nod to Doctor Who, we've been living on the edge of destruction for 2020, with all of the strange things happening this year: fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, COVID, and of course, Japanese killer hornets. Quite a year. So I started thinking back to previous times when we've had big challenges that looked like they threatened destruction of humanity. And I wanted to note that we did not end up blowing up the world with nuclear weapons. We did not destroy the ozone. The Antarctic ozone hole's been shrinking. And we did avert Y2K. So we have three big challenges in front of us, and I don't want to minimize any of them, but I think there's reason to believe we can move forward. So I looked up crisis management. It turns out to be a public relations field, and they're really good at it. I really like creeping crisis, slow burn crisis, and sudden crisis. And obviously you can turn one of these into the other if you're not careful. It was quite an interesting dive into how the public relations people think about it. And then I looked at academic management of crisis management. And the academics, the sentence from this article, crisis leadership, thus needs to homogenize cognitive processes amongst all stakeholders. I think that means getting everybody on the same page, maybe. But otherwise, I really have no idea what they're talking about. I'm sure there's some really good material in there, but I don't know what it is. So to talk about Y2K, the people who created this crisis also started warning about it almost instantly. And one of the most notable is Bob Bemer, whose slogan is there. But nobody really paid any attention until about 4 years before the deadline, at which point people started losing their minds and talking about, the end of the world and remember to turn off your computer and everything. But when we woke up on New Year's Day of 2000, everything was pretty much okay. And some people, myself included, breathed a sigh of relief and were very grateful to all the people who had worked their tails off to avoid this, the programmers who stayed up all night for weeks and everything else. But some people felt like they'd been had, that it was a hoax. There's no accounting for some people. Anyway, this was a known problem with a definite date. It was ignored for decades. Communication had to be turned up to 11, and then hype and hysteria blossomed. But some good things happened. All the software and hardware got updated. IT came of age and became a division and a discipline and everything. And now we're all good until 2038. So the big three crises for us are climate change, economic equity, and systemic racism. We've been talking about this for a while. The Triple Bottom Line book came out in 1994, and that was the People, Planet, Profit. We transformed that into the 3 E's in many contexts, though the highway engineers who did the one in the lower right, I'm not sure they quite got what we were talking about. But if we look at climate change, this is a fact, sort of like a virus. It doesn't care what you think. It doesn't care who you vote for. It's a fact. And we've known about it for a long time, and it's getting worse. It has changed from a slow burn, creeping crisis into a sudden crisis, and that we are now up against it really big. The artists have addressed it in beautiful ways in Venice with the large hands coming out of the canal, and in Berlin showing the leaders, aka the politicians, discussing climate change in a puddle. The memes are good, the graphics are good, and the cartoon to say the Ghost of Christmas Future is saying you better do something about this climate change. So how does this relate to TOD? Well, cities generate about half of the world's greenhouse gases, so cities can make a really huge difference and have in many places, and transit's essential. And climate change is an urban opportunity. It actually pays off to invest in low carbon cities. So now that we know we can do it and it would be worthwhile to do it, how do we do it? Well, the World Bank has examples all over the world of how TOD helps cities reduce their carbon footprint while being more productive and more livable. And you see all the examples there. I don't know if we'll ever get around to having flowers on top of our bus stops the way that place in the Netherlands does, but I think it's great. And just as a reminder, TOD is not just for the millennials. AARP has, and I should say Gen X and Gen Z and everybody else, AARP has a Livable Communities program where they hold transportation workshops and they talk about form-based codes and road diets. So this is really seeping out there in lots of places. We just need to pull it together and take action. There are a lot of equitable TOD resources. Lots of people have done really good work. I'm listed like 4 great organizations there at the bottom, by no means a comprehensive list. It was just pulling up some for examples. So there's a lot of how to do that out there. We need to pick it up, we need to use these tools, and we need to move forward. And of course then, systemic racism. It was brought to our attention by a horrible event in Minneapolis that systemic racism kills, and it matters to all of us. The hopeful part was the millions of people who came out to march in cities all over the world. It's been a really long journey, and we're still not there, but I don't know anybody who's still taking it for granted, that the way things were was acceptable. It's not, it wasn't, and we the pale people, need to talk about it and need to learn about it. And there's a lot of resources out there for us, and it's our duty to pick these up and learn. And transit actually has a key role. CityLab had an article by the Director of Policy Development Research at APTA, and I found in a quick scan a bunch of books. I own some of these, I've ordered others. The Race After Technology, Abolitionist Tools for the New Jim Code. I'm there for it. We need to pick up these tools. There are still other things too, like systemic gender discrimination and other things, but the systemic racism has to stop. Okay, to talk about COVID briefly. Crisis response, when it's something new, it's scarce information, dynamic, attacked by skeptics, we still know how to do it. The methods have been known for a long time. Reality-based stuff actually works. Misinformation and disinformation can amplify the pandemic, slow down the response, and kill people. Again, people die. So when you hear somebody say it'll die out on its own, that's just sad. Except it's not just sad for them, it's sad for all of us. Herd immunity, no scientist believes in that for this virus. Okay, so everybody knows that pestilences have a way of recurring in the world. Camus said this in The Plague, his novel in 1947, that plagues and wars always take people by surprise. Anyway, we can control the pandemic. We can build a better world with transit and TOD. We need to get on it. Thank you.
Right. Hello, everyone. I'm really glad I brought the chat up in my other window because it really has changed the dynamic where I felt kind of lonely previously to this. So to see all of your names and comments here has been really fun. And so, yeah, thank you all for spending your evening with us so far. I wanted to call up Steve Granson from the New Revolutionaries because this event wouldn't happen without the New Revolutionaries, and really was born out of when I was able to call myself as much of a New Revolutionary. And so I'm really pleased to have Steve here. And Steve, tell us a little bit about, well, first yourself, and then we'll talk a little bit about the New Revolutionaries.
Thanks, Art. So Steve Granson, I'm the chair of the New Revolutionaries. I have 18 years in the world of transit, planning and developing projects. This is my 9th Revolution Conference, and I'll tell you that the love and the passion for this conference and for the people who attend this conference, and it's really second to none. And for as long as I'm in this industry and working, you will continue to see my face. I'm not sure how much as a new revolutionary, because I am getting up. I don't know if you can see the gray hairs, but but I will like to say, Art, thank you to the speakers who did a great job in a different year this year in a virtual setting. You indicated that the audience members in the chat room, they made it like, we were in person. And so that really, kind of made the PK Slam great as well.
Yeah. And, Steve, one of the things I've always really enjoyed about Revolution is the openness, at least in my time participating, to these new ideas, to the fact that this is essentially a crowdsourced conference. The National Steering Committee, together with this network of participants, each year makes a unique and special event. And so, I continue to find it really fresh and lively every year. But I do really appreciate the work that you've done recently with the New Revolutionaries and that whole network to continue to expand the sort of approach and thinking for the conference. Can you tell us a little more about what the New Revolutionaries have been doing?
Yeah, so I think every year for the New Revolutionaries, we're always in recruiting mode, and we're always wanting to bring in new people, to bring in new ideas, bring in that diversity, and so that's how we're able to keep it going and coming up with new ideas and new ways to make the conference better from a networking standpoint, and just engaging conference goers. So. It really starts with the people who are dedicated and to joining the New Revolutionaries and love this conference and want to help make it better. So
no, absolutely. And I've always rejected new equaling young. This is about new energy, people who want to jump into this space and really see their career blossom through their participation in Revolution. So it's definitely not just a kids table at the conference. It has a huge amount of influence over the conference.
Absolutely.
Do you have any highlights from this year of things that the New Revolutionaries helped put on to the conference and ways that participate next year? Yeah.
So because this is a virtual conference, the New Revolutionaries, we typically do 10 to 15 different types of events at a normal conference. We definitely had to scale back this year, but we were able to bring you our traditional idea exchanges. We had one at last week. At the beginning, and then we will bring 3 more idea exchanges tomorrow that you can come in and join us for. We also have the morning coffee chats. We had our first one this morning, and that's all about just networking and getting people in the morning just to get their conference experience going in the right direction and getting to meet people who are attending the conference. So obviously the PK Slam, this is our signature event, and hope everyone had a great time here tonight. But we will be back hopefully, next year if we're in an in-person conference, we'll be bigger and better with more events, putting a twist on our existing events and sessions. And so we really look forward to it.
And Steve, if people are interested in getting connected into this work, what's the best way for them to get looped in?
So definitely, I would say contact me. And if you're listening, or my information is on the conference platform, so you can always find me, and I will get you connected. It's very easy to join, hard to get out, but easy to join.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's great, and I think really this is I think it's a great way for people to sort of find themselves deep within the conference and the conference organizing committee. Steve, you're on the national steering committee and participating in that way, and so direct access to the sort of the way the conference is put together, and I think that's a great testament to how the whole conference is being organized to give that level of access and influence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else we want to say before closing the event out?
Well, Art, we usually there usually is a PK Slam after party.
I know.
And so, what do you suggest we do? We tell the crowd this year, the audience this year.
Well, I think we may not be able to all go out and celebrate or dance together tonight, but I do think maybe we can sort of take to social media and add some images to the Revolution network. And in particular, I think there's a new hashtag that is the Revolution hand modeling. Find all the ways that you can reference your hands in your shots of the urban architecture, and we can create that meme.
Yeah, absolutely. Or they can hand model their beverage of choice.
Right. Or, that would work too. Absolutely. Right. Well, great. Thank you, Steve, and thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. I miss you all terribly. I really look forward to being able to see you all in person next year. And continue to be well and take care of yourselves, and we will see you next year.